Welcome to the channel. This is Reliable Rudy. Before we get into any market analysis, let me make sure volume's good. Looks like we're good on my end. Quality looks good. Yeah, I hope everyone had a good Friday. It was a pretty green day. Right now I have the Nasdaq pulled up. Nice green candle. Fridays have been pretty dang good. It seems to be the story every week. But before we get into any market analysis, you guys know I'm not a licensed financial advisor. I'm simply just sharing my opinion in this technical analysis. I'm a firm believer that in the short run, the stock market is simply just a voting machine, and in the long run, it's a weighing machine. I believe that stocks in the long run and equity, ETFs, indexes, they will trade near their intrinsic value in the long run, and it can be very hard to determine what that is at a given date because the market is constantly changing. But in the short run, I believe I have a vote. Person next to me has a vote. Person next to him has a vote, and so forth. And some people have bigger votes than others, and that's part of the game. There's people out there that are trying to make a living in the short run, and you also have analysts that have jobs that rely on short-term price fluctuation. That's why I try to cut through all that and stay true to a strategy that works for me. That doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. So, yeah, there's all kinds of different ways to invest. There's no perfect one single way that you need to trade or you need to invest. There's no perfect strategy that works, and nobody is perfect. If somebody tells you that they have a 100% uh, success rate, more than likely he doesn't, unless he's doing something that is possibly illegal. So yeah, I'm gonna pull over my Twitter right here, and we'll go over some of the notes that we had for today. Nothing too much. We can go over the Intel. I never did buy that Intel, but I know that day in particular, Nvidia was running pretty crazy. So that caught some catalyst off of that potentially. Who knows? But but for the first sticky note for the day, I said Ford, it's worth watching. We had a sticky note for it last week. I bought some shares that, went against me pretty quick, but this was a test of character for kind of staying true to a plan. I drew out a plan that I wanted to execute with Ford, and I stayed true to it. And the way it played out today was a really good test to kind of the way that I like to invest. That doesn't mean that this is how it's going to work every time. These are just simply stating my note for today. I wrote this down this morning. I said, Ford is worth watching. I said it had a nice uptrend hold the day and the day before, and it wasn't something that just caught a bid right away. It took time to develop. I said it was still trading in a wedge. Make sure you size accordingly. For all I know, that this ends up going against me. Can it break over 12? At the beginning of the day, I wasn't sure if it was going to be able to have that type of strength, but I like the long catalyst with this name, and strength isn't quite there yet. So that's another reason why I said kind of be careful. I don't really like building positions with any size that don't have strength. Uh, but that doesn't mean that the strength is always going to win on a particular side. The house doesn't win every single time when you're gambling or any of that stuff. It's just kind of keeps me in place and tells me that, hey, size accordingly. So let's go pull up Ford and we will go work from here. So if for those of you who do keep track uh, of the sticky notes, we started our forward position over here, and as you can see, it took 2 days to kind of work through this. We had some levels down here. I really liked. We did have a nice bottom print down here. The gap was at 11.25, and I added to it at 26. I said to myself, hey, we have a nice uptrend. You have a clear downtrend that's still respecting in, and another downtrend, which is this is your wedge pattern right here. So if we go over to a 15-minute chart, I'll show you why in particular I want it. I've tried to keep this chart the same. We didn't add anything to it today. Uh, but I like the position where I have it right now. So this was kind of the reason why I wanted to start this position. I felt that, we had some nice, good increasing volume. Three green candles is what I'm looking for. And I felt we had a nice bull flag consolidation as it was breaking through, this clear downtrend that we've had. I thought this was going to be a catalyst to maybe make a move up for this 1250 is what I had on the sticky note was the top end of the wedge. Well, obviously we traded down. It's set to close above the downtrend, so my shares are already out of the money. We gapped down right inside of the wedge again, and all we did was trade down sort of where we had some levels. We had a clear uptrend that it was holding, and I said, let's give it a try, let's add some shares, and we actually averaged up as we were able to break over this neckline. I talked about this on the live stream on Wednesday. And the day after, we're still trading in a wedge, so I didn't really want to add anything here. But with this downtrend that we had right here, I thought it was very interesting when we were getting a gap up. And you can see how we kind of open up above that gap, and 1150 holds, kind of wicking into this downtrend. So I thought it was a very interesting look, and obviously the volume came in more volume than what it's been seeing relatively over the last couple weeks of trading. And, is it going to move forward from here? It's tough to say. We still have on the bigger time scale uh, a nice green candle. Let's not forget about that. Uh, but where we opened at, if I was looking at something for a new position and I wanted some confirmation that we're breaking through this wedge right here, this 1175 that we have never been able to close from, for it to claim that early in the day, I'm not surprised that there was good volume. But I do like this nice increase in volume. And more importantly, this is what I've kind of been waiting for with this name. Can it show me a positive break? It kind of gives that look over here where we're testing the top end of this downtrend, but obviously gives up that strength right away. Well, now we're positive 13. We're getting increased volume. We're breaking through a downtrend that we haven't been able to break through. The true test is going to come up here, in my opinion. So 1250, I think, is going to be a true range. And I think if it's able to do that, who knows where this could end up going. Where you have a gap fill up at 1432, I think it's possible. Will I respect? You kind of have some resistance. A double top comes in, you reject it over here. A little bit of resistance at 13 could be catch a little bit of resistance there. It's possible. So um, I think it's a good look. And no, I didn't sell any shares today. I'm trying to hold this for a bigger move. I think the potential is higher than where we're at right now. Does it have to trade back down to 1175 before it can make that move? Maybe it does. But I like the position I have built out, and that's why I stated that I think Ford is worth keeping on watch. So moving forward, the next sticky note that we had was 3M, weak name to watch, strength negative 200, probably needs some time. I like the support that it has built up around 95 to 90. Long-term mindset with this name. I did not buy any shares of this name today, as it does have some good support at 97. Let's just go pull up that chart, and I do have a position in this name that is in the red. Like I said, I'm not perfect, uh, but I think this is a name that I have a long-term mindset with, and I'm sure there is some news catalyst with the litigation that they've been going through. I've heard a few people talking about it, but that's why I think it's reasonable to size accordingly until you have a little bit more information and you have a little bit better of an understanding of what you're looking at here. So 3M, I just have a simple downtrend. Now, whether this is 100% accurate or not, I don't know. But looking back over here, this was a clear downtrend that should have been set, in my opinion, and you have no retest of it. And it's kind of strange that we actually are getting action of it over here. Back in, this was the COVID lows in 2020, and meeting in around this range, is it possible that this catches a bit? I have no idea. This is only really came in contact with this one time. But the support that I'm really talking about, and I have my lines drawn here at 95.12 and 90. And I simply just marked this top. And why I said that 97 was actually some decent support is because you wick, you wick, you wick. I didn't really try to test into some shares around that level simply because, you know, on the bigger picture, to me, when your strength is this low, I just want to give it a little bit of time. Show me a level that I can buy. Like if this rejects up at 98 and trades back down, okay, maybe as it reclaims this previous low right here, maybe it's a trade at a higher price. I'm okay buying at a higher price if I have a little bit more conviction. But looking at this 95, I simply just have this marked. And then these tops, this is your 90 flat. Are we able to trade down to that? I don't know if it'll get there. But another part that I do like is it does have a gap fill, so a level inside of this buying window around 92.85. I don't mind that. So, do I think it's fairly priced at this level? Yes. Does that mean that the price is going to go up in the short run? No, I don't think that guarantees anything. But I'm okay holding this name for the long term, and I'm going to respect these levels. If it wants to trade down to 95, I'll think about adding some shares. I'll think about it at the gap at 92.80, and I'll think about it at 90 as well. They're kind of whole dollar numbers, but they did just pay a dividend. Let's give it a little time to rest out. And we have an earnings report that's a little far away, so let's watch the chart build us a little bit more information to go off of and go from there. So that's 3M. I think it's worth keeping on watch. Whether the price goes up or down, I think it's worth watching. So moving forward, this is the last sticky note that we had for today, and maybe we'll go over to some other names or individual names, or maybe even look back to some other days of trading and kind of go through some of my thoughts. And I said BAC was the last one I did buy some shares of BAC, and let's go over this because I've talked about Bank of America many times, and my shares that I bought today are in the green. The shares that I bought the other day aren't in the green. I'm kind of just trying to build out this position accordingly, and I don't want to rush into anything. But I do like that this strength is very close to this positive break. We're sitting at negative 21. So clearly, I think there's a little bit more time to play out, and who knows? I think I'm telling myself if I'm lucky, I want this price to actually flush against me. I will be okay holding the shares. I'm not going away anytime soon, and I will bite the bullet short term for having a little bit more glory in the long run. In my eyes, that's the way I see it. But the price that I really want to see is this gap fill over here, and even if I would look at this as a neckline break, you gap up over it. It was never able to retest that area. And I think it actually has some decent support where we're at currently. So if I was just marking out some key levels that I thought were reasonable, I could even mark the middle of this area as well, kind of where we gap up to on that day. And this is where we've seen demand. This was the low of the year. We gap up, we're able to fill that gap, try and put in a higher low, and now we kind of had this bull flag look. It's not the cleanest bull flag. Uh, you left a gap on the way up, so maybe it has to trade down to 27.35 before we get any type of a move. But the another part that I say in this sticky note, let's go back. I said BAC 28 holds, strength negative 25. I think over 28.75, I would be pretty bullish on this name. Dividend next Thursday could sell off after. I've seen many times with dividend plays where, that gets taken out of the shares, it gets the dividend gets distributed to every share. You get a gap down, and then you get some selling pressure of people that want to cut the shares after they receive a dividend. You don't know where everyone's in long at. But then I also state I like this name long term. So we have the dividend next Thursday. Monday trading is off, so we have Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we'll see how it acts on the dividend date. But where I like that 75 is we've never really been able to close over that. So if it can show me that it can get over the 75, kind of a false little breakout right here. But what's important about this wick, and this was the day I bought some shares. We can go back to the 15-minute and go over that. But I bought some shares here, and obviously I should have had this gap identified right here. But to me, I look at this as a big positive, as it was able to show strength up to that gap. Now, in my mindset, the next time we get a price action up to that range, I don't think there's going to be as much resistance, as this was a very easily identifiable level. Uh, So that's kind of how I looked at that is, it was a good positive. It was able to take that, but my levels that I want to see hold, you can see the demand at 28. We've talked about 28 flat multiple times. I should just have it marked. I mean, when I go to a 15-minute chart, you're going to see all the demand off of this 28 level. Now, yesterday we traded below it a little bit. We were able to reclaim it. Today, we get a gap up and it instantly sells off. Now let's go to the 15-minute chart. Now, all I was focused on, we give up 28. I'm like, okay, looks like we're gonna, retrace potentially back down to this gap that I called out. But when we were able to reclaim that, all I simply did, I was looking for an order off of 28. As it shows that it gives out support, which this support is held very well, 28 flat, 28 flat, even rejects it, showing a little bit of resistance, it breaks back, holds, gives it up, reclaims it right away, and holds as support. This is what I was focused on, and this is why I bought some shares here today. Now, just because I'm up 34 cents for those shares, doesn't mean that this doesn't eventually give up 28 again, as we have left another gap that hasn't been filled yet. So if it can show me that it can get over 28.75, I think this name looks good for some continuation. And let's see it flirt up. I see a gap up here in the 30s. We'll go from there. But I added to the position of the day. I thought it was worthy of an add, and we'll see where it goes from here. I'm hoping that the price can dump down on me. That's my honest opinion. I want to see it go down to 25, maybe even lower. So let me pull up, see if we got anyone watching over here. Oh, looks like we have Hal. Oops, wrong tab. Hal, I got 110% success rate. You've been here the whole time, haven't you? I hope they flush against you too. Under 20, baby. Oh man, BAC under 20? Oh man, I'd love that. I'd be in heaven, I think. I would go work as much as I possibly could, just put the whole check into it, honestly. But no, in all honesty, if BAC traded, even past these mid 20s, under 20, if this were to get under 20 somehow, I would say you have a really nice shelf support right here at 18, which I would love a price there. But then I would be all for the neckline trade at 15. This is where I'd probably be thinking margin. Now, it doesn't mean you go just go send it on margin with me. But I wouldn't be against adding some size to the position down here at 18 to 15. I'd be all for that. Uh, I don't know if you're still there, Hal. You know me. I'm not very good at looking at the chat, so maybe I missed you, but I don't see anyone else watching. We can go pull up the Intel and IBM. IBM, I was very happy with the way I approached the IBM position. I said I was interested around the gap, and I talked about this gap on 3 different sticky notes. I thought it was a solid chart setup. 125.50 to 124.50 average in. You got positive strength and a pretty good setup. So I thought IBM was a pretty well executed position for me so far. And no, we are not selling any shares. I love this nice bull flag continuation. This is exactly what you're looking for. Only one pullback day, which made it pretty tough. But we did get an ad around that 125.50. All I did was kind of respect the previous day's low, and I was actually on the bid for 124.50. I wasn't lucky to get that fill, but a nice reclaim of positive. And this has a really good setup where you have a clear downtrend, you break that downtrend, and what's more particular about this is the day that we gap up. So no, I didn't buy any shares the original day that we got this, but I did have multiple fills on this name the following day. If we go back to a 15-minute chart, you can see here's your gap fill. It fills it right away. That was the one reason why I didn't buy it right away. But uh, then we got an opportunity to add some shares as it reclaimed 126. Following day, nope, we're not buying shares here. But once it shows me this move, I was kind of committed to it, where I said, 125.50 looked really good. It was previous lows from yesterday, and we tried it, and we were on the bid at 124.50 had it kept dropping. But I wasn't lucky enough to get those shares. But a really good follow through on IBM. Uh, right now I'm kind of giving up some levels, but a nice green move like that, normally I just go to an hour chart, and you can see we have some nice key levels meeting up near these highs right here. I think this name looks pretty good for continuation, and it probably does have some sort of uptrend if it wants to trade back down. I would have this wicked right there, so maybe an average up at 126.75, and that also meets right at a gap. Go figure. So you got a gap fill support and you have neckline support. It is normally pretty good confirmation for me that okay, I will average into that position accordingly. Um, VSTM. I'll go take a look at that. VSTM. I would say the hour chart looks fantastic. You got nice increasing red or green volume. Yeah, only 15 minutes left on this candle, right near a one flat level. Let's see what it looks like on a daily chart. Well, the first thing I would say is, you probably have some sort of uptrend hold right there. And as soon as it takes out this level right there, this top, you gap up, you attempt to trade down and fill this gap, and it didn't have the weakness to do that. So right off the rip, you could have some shorts that are trapped in waiting for this fill down here near this gap up. Now obviously they weren't able to get that. So let's see. Now this is a better example of it. You trade up, you gap up. The shorts could be trying to get in. There's only 16K volume right here, but you try to trade down, and as soon as you take out this price, boom, there's your bull flag. You got 3 candles of increased volume. Now this does wick right here, which is why you have a little bit of red increased volume, but the tell is when you're able to take out this high right here. Now even when you take out this high right here, just full green engulfing to the upside, and look at the volume increase. Boom, 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 boom. Honestly, right around this one flat level, uh, nice sideways consolidation, but when I have green moves like this, I want to try and condense this move into 3 candles, is what my goal is. So you have some levels that you can trade off of here, but is it enough conviction? I'd want to set like an alert right here. So I just go over here, set an alert, my alert's in. As soon as the price goes over that, maybe I can think about taking a trade. But let's go to an hour chart where, you have 4 green candles to the upside where, okay, there's your move. 1, 2, 3. I want to see 3 red candles kind of meet in with a level. And in particular, the top of this wick right there. Now let's go back to the 15-minute chart and see where that's at. There's your previous top. As soon as you took out this level right here, boom, boom, 2 green engulfing candles. Now how does it act when it retests this area? So yeah, honestly, if it wasn't as late in the day, this is a pretty good setup. And the next thing I would want to do is kind of mark some levels out. So I can see this is kind of right around the level we're at. This is previous lows right there. So I'd want to see it be able to show me that I can get over that level. So wicking into that, or setting a close on today into that, maybe this is a trade on Monday or Tuesday where we have to retest this previous high first. Uh, but honestly, a pretty decent setup. I don't see any type of downtrend that would be getting in the way of this move. But I'm sure there is something set sort of like that where you moved all the ways through that. Yeah, 75. That's right around this little top right here. I can get on board with a 75 hold. Uh, but call it 80, 81 to 72. So just marking out some levels right there. Not a half bad setup. And honestly, this one level draws all the way back here. So this is a really key level of resistance right here. But that's why I would wait for that alert. If it's able to climb higher, that could be a catalyst of holding support there as well. So yeah, I'll throw this one on the watch list, but a little late in the day to try and trade it. Not a bad setup though. It's pretty good. Look, a lot of volume came in there. The only part off the 15-minute chart is you can see a lot of the large red candles, which is why it's trying to consolidate sideways for so long. But I wouldn't be surprised if this took out 110 and tried the run, but a little late in the day. Yeah, definitely not today. Yeah, I agree with you there. But yeah, other than that, I did see Kaz M was back down. You know, I just have it on a watch list, and I just so happened to see it around this 3 flat range. I didn't trade it at all, but this has been clear support for this name, and it's been giving you nice pops each time off of it. It's starting to look kind of like a flat bottom break, and I did have this at the time. It was trying to catch a bid off of this. Well, now this kind of commodity is uh, the channel is not as much there, but it is leaving a little bit of a wick onto that. So I was looking at Cosm a little bit, but I don't think it's worthy of a trade at all. And you can see this is the candle that actually gives up 3 temporarily, and it had a big volume increase on it. So I was keeping Cosm. I might throw like an alert on this at like 320 or maybe even over this 334. I mean, I'm sure there's worse trade setups, but I mean, you can see this support at 3 is clear as day, or a little under 3. But that was another. So I don't know. Let's see what else we got on the watch list. I did add a little bit to the oil, the XLE today. I didn't have a sticky note for it, but I thought that oil has been trying to hold this sort of uptrend. It kind of trades below it a little bit. So is it set 100% correct? You know, probably not, but I do like the oil setup, and obviously it's not as flashy as the Nasdaq names that are, going crazy. But I think over 74, and maybe I can push that up to over 75. Call it this low over here. This previous low is what it's been rejecting. If oil can show me, it's got a nice wedge pattern. If it can break through, I like the way oil is setting up. But looking at XLE, I did buy some of that today. Whether it's good shares or bad shares, I'm not really sure. But yeah, kind of a mess on the chart. But you can see this uptrend has kind of been holding. So all I did, I think I was in the middle of this green candle when I seen it turning green a little bit. Uh, Rejecting the downward channel. So more than likely we have a descending channel right here. Can it hold this uptrend? If it can, maybe an alert set like right here over 79, worthy of maybe a little small dip. But the other bit of strength, I've had Delta Airlines. I am not opposed to averaging up on this name. Uh, it's flirting with this flat top. It's setting up the flat top, and I want to see an exhaustive move where I have clear outs. You have your previous low and the gap fill, which is a couple different outs right there. But if it needs to trade down, you can see the ascending channel build that it has. I think that some of these airlines are kind of setting up, and you have the strength. Got some time before the earnings, 157 in strength. I am looking for this to take out that price. But what's more interesting about this, my bad, but what's more interested about this is this 3450 break. I don't have this line at 3450, but this was a nice tail, nice green engulfing candle through this neckline, and then kind of wick towards it. But this wick on this day was pretty crucial day as it respected the level. Now can it turn up and catch a bid? And I thought AAL was also pretty similar type of setup, not as clean as Delta, which is why I'm more focused on Delta. But I actually was on the bid for this gap and I didn't get the fill. How close is that? Isn't that just a freaking killer? When you're trying to buy a gap fill against your strength, we were getting ready to go negative. But I said to myself, Delta looks a lot better than this. I think there's going to be buyers off this gap. And no fill, which sucks. But I still have a bit of a position in American, not as good as Delta. Because I think Delta's chart setup is a little bit better. Where this one, you do have some sort of uptrend that's trying to hold. So until this uptrend gives up, I'm not looking to sell any shares of that either. So yeah, I thought the airlines were having decent setup. Other than that, there's nothing really else that I did today. AI, I didn't hold it into the close yesterday, but I felt yesterday did have a nice little scalping trade on this name. I respected this little uptrend that it had built, and here's where I took an entry, and we scalped. We actually got a reload in here, and we exited the position. It was at the end of the day, I could have held some shares, and obviously I wish I did, because look at the move that it had. But yeah, that's tough. That's tough. What do you do? Had a nice uptrend build. Nice ascending channel that's trying to break out of. It is breaking out of. A lot of good volume. Yeah, I'm sure there's a bunch of YouTubers out there that are sitting there saying, oh, tech. Dump in the tech, dump in the tech. There's a lot of short minds out there. I'm looking for the home run long-term hits. But other than that, light, this was a new position yesterday as well. A little bit of luck involved, obviously. I'm not going to act like I'm a perfect trader. But we did take advantage of this little pullback buy over here. It wasn't for much size, but I actually was on the bid at the gap fill. It gaps up, and it wanted to, and I'll show you why I was interested. Is because there's your second red candle. You have a nice green move, boom, boom, right into your levels, previous high, gaps up, should refill, retrace down to the gap, and didn't get those shares, so we added a couple up here. Obviously got the gap up in continuation, but a nice channel break on top of that. So light was another one that was a pretty good add, and I was pretty happy with it, even though it's light size. Yeah, this was another one. Cut this one at the end of the day as well. We had the entry on this. Boom, we were in. Get the nice intraday gap. Trim. Retraces down, and we just didn't give it enough chance. We said, it's going to go against us. And boom, huge gap up 63%. What do you do? What do you do? But this is what I kind of seen. I wanted to make sure it wasn't a descending channel. We tried it on this red candle. We trimmed it up. Had some fills under 5. And we had a couple more trims up there. All kinds of different transactions on this name. But obviously it didn't give me the follow through, and when it gave up the trend line, this is when we cut it, and here we're right around where I cut it. Nothing crazy. This one respected the uptrend beautifully, just wasn't able to hold it, wasn't able to get the entry. Look at that move, beautiful move. BHG kind of giving up the ghost a little bit, but we had this identified, didn't take the trade, get a nice follow through, increasing volume all the way through. What do you do? What do you do? But yeah, I don't have anything else for you guys. I just wanted to kind of break down the rest of those sticky notes. Workiva, I didn't get my fill on Workiva today, but I can go over that real quick. WK, it gave the gap up. I wanted it to retrace down to the gap. I would have been on the bid at 92.50. Never gave it to me, and a little bit of a follow through. Now it's kind of a wait and see. I'll revisit this name on Tuesday, but you can see had a nice neckline break at 91 halves. Boom, retraces right down to my levels, gives me the gap up. I'm looking for a retrace down to that gap. Couldn't get it. Now we're sitting here. I'd say the true breakout price is over 97.50, give or take. But what's crucial is that it was able to fill this gap over here. Boom, there's your wick top. Gorgeous. But it also tried, boom, boom, tried to give the gap up, gave up the ghost, gaps up, looking for a retrace down to the gap, don't get it. It's part of trading. Sometimes it doesn't work exactly how you want it to. But Yeah, other than that, unless Hal has something else that he wants me to look at, I'm probably going to call it a day, or call it a week, and we'll be back on Tuesday. You got anything else, Hal? You're probably looking to call it a week too. Nope, I'm out. Yep. Good week of trading. I'll see you on Tuesday. You have a good rest of your weekend, Hal. You too.